Boom! Look who stepped into the room. What is going on, my friends? Ozeal here, tuned in to Podcast Influence Live. Actually, with the rebrand, Live and Vibe with Ozeal. Get it right, Ozeal. It's been one of those Mondays, which, by the way, happy Monday to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Let me know. I saw somebody say music is loud and clear. Thank you for the check. I appreciate that. Let me know your name. Once again, if you don't allow StreamYard permission to showcase your name, apparently on my end, I can't see your name. I just see Facebook users. So you know the drill. Give them permission. If not, then just drop it in the chat room so I can give you a massive shout out and love for chiming in. As always, encouragement is always no engagement. See, it's been one of those days. I only have one cup of coffee. Maybe that's why. Engagement is always encouraged, so please drop it in. Good morning, my brother. I'm not sure who that is, but just good morning to you. Again, drop your name because I don't see your name. So I want to make sure I want to address you by name because I appreciate you chiming in. So again, happy Monday. Let me know, how are you feeling this morning? How's your morning been? I'll tell you what, I'm a little late today. I had some tech issues. And it's been one of those Mondays where it's been a little rough. I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a little rough. I couldn't sleep last night for whatever reason. And I was kind of going in and out of sleep. And then I woke up at 5:30 a.m., which I normally do. And I just could not go back to bed. So I've been feeling a bit groggy. I thought coffee could help. Did not help at all. So I went back, lay down for a tad bit longer, and then just got back up about maybe an hour or 2 hours ago. And then had my first cup of coffee. So I'm just trying to get it going, y'all. But I'm live and vibe with you. I'm here. I'm present. I'm excited to be here as always. Again, if you are tuning in, say hello. Jesus Ortiz in the house. My brother, it's always good to see you, man. I see you doing big things. And as always, I appreciate you jumping in this live stream, saying hello, and being a part of this live and vibe. So again, if you are tuning in, say hello. Just doing some housekeeping here. Let me go ahead and put this in. Audio sounds good. I believe that audio sounds great on your end. I think somebody told me that audio's good. Let me go and get to do the branding thing. I'm the host that loves you the most, Ozeal. And we're ready to go ahead and dive into today's topic. Today's topic is some tough love advice for my fellow new podcasters. And this may apply to you as well, depending how you take it. But it's all like tough love, meaning that it's all said with love. It's all with good intent. It's all about helping fellow podcasters level up. Because as a coach, I see a lot of podcasters that come to me and they are doing the thing. I'm so proud of them. And then there comes a point where everybody needs to take some time to reassess their podcast journey and just to get some feedback. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But also for new podcasters who just jump right in, which there's some mad love and respect for that. But there's also some common mistakes and pitfalls that a lot of new podcasters make. And it is my obligation, my duty to help new podcasters avoid those common mistakes. And then, of course, just reassess a few things, make some tweaks so they can see some growth and then, get back on the right track. So that is what I'm here to do, my friends. So again, today's topic, tough love advice for new podcasters. So let's begin, shall we? And again, I'm going to go through this. If there's something that lands with you, drop it in the chat room, comment. I want to get your feedback as well. So give me some feedback. Let me know how you're feeling. If there's anything that you agree with or disagree with, this is an open conversation, my friend. So again, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right to it. Let me go ahead and get right to the tough love, my friend. Let me get right to the tough love. But it's love nonetheless. All right. Okay, cool. So let's go with it, guys. All right. So my tip number one, some tough love advice here. Let's go ahead and talk about this, y'all. Quality over quantity is a lie. Let me know in the chat room if you have heard this advice. Yo, you're going to start a podcast, you really need to get the most expensive mic. You need to get this mic right here, the Shure SM7B, because Joe Rogan uses it. Michael Jackson used it to record Thriller. True story. Fact check me if you want. You need to get, the Roadcaster. You need to get all the equipment in order for you to start a podcast. Let me know in the chat room if you've heard that advice, or maybe not. But I know a lot of podcasters that come to me and feel pressured and compelled to like get all the expensive gear before they get started. And I'm here to let you know that the whole argument of quality over quantity is most definitely a lie. As someone who started on YouTube about a year ago, I started the journey and I just started with my iPhone. And a couple of experienced YouTubers would put me on the game as far as like how important lighting is and how important audio is as well, and all the other things. And of course, they were giving me all the bells and whistles, the lower thirds and the B-roll, and there were so many aspects of creating video content that I was like, okay, maybe I need to buy a fancy camera. I need to buy expensive lighting gear, and I did. I actually made an investment early on, and then what ended up happening? I ended up going back to this. So my advice to a new podcaster, if you are watching this, whether on YouTube or on the Facebook Pod Houston group, which by the way, shout out to Pod Houston, you have to put in the reps early on. And, I think the art of practice is overlooked, and it's being replaced by creators who believe that they need the most expensive gear in order to have a quality podcast. And I'm here to let you know that that's just false. Okay. Let me know in the chat room if you agree with that, if you heard that. So somebody just dropped them. They're going to just show you some love. So true. I've been using my Blue Yeti, my personal Marshall headphones, and free editing software, and I'm feeling really good. Who is this, by the way? Let me know. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes you got to start where your budget fits. You got to start where you're at. And although there are certain aspects of creating a good quality podcast, which I agree with, and some of you who know me in the Podcast Influence Academy and some of the content that I've created, how passionate I am about delivering great audio quality, and I'll tap on that in a bit. But start where you're at. There's a lot of new podcasters that feel like they need to go expensive, where in actuality, you really could start with your Anchor phone, with Anchor, the Anchor app on your phone, or just like my friend here who just posted, I don't know your name, Facebook user, who just posted, just a Blue Yeti, Marshall headphones, and just free editing software. So if you really wanted to get started with a podcast, you can get started for under $100 to get started, under $100. And I just wanted to preach this and show some tough love, because again, I'm seeing a lot of podcasters in different Facebook groups talk about equipment and that they need to buy this and that. And then they show a picture, they post a picture of their equipment, and it's massive. It's a lot more than what I have. I'm a little jealous. And they got the Roadcaster, they got the fancy mics, they got audio interfaces, and I mean they have all the works. They even jump into video podcasting, which is like that next level, but they're just jumping in. And then I see them often come back to the Facebook groups asking more and more questions. Why? Because they overcomplicated the process. So I'm here to let you know that simplicity is your friend, and that it's important not to overlook the art of practice. You got to practice, put in the reps, and that is a lot more important. So when you see, and you'll see some purists will say, no, man, you got to have that quality over quantity. That's important. That's just a lie that creators, artists tell themselves to make themselves feel better. And also it's an excuse to hide from the real work that matters. So keep this in mind, you podcasters. If you are just starting off, if you just have your phone, start with your phone, okay? With the mindset of growing and knowing what the next level looks like, because you definitely want to invest in better quality equipment. but put in the reps early on. It's kind of like in the gym, right? It doesn't matter what gym you go to. The objective is to get in shape, right? The objective is to, whether it's to lose weight or build muscle, the objective is simply just to get in the gym and put in the reps. Doesn't matter what equipment is there. All the equipment works the same, right? They're going to work the same muscles, but getting in the mindset of practicing and putting in the reps, it's what truly matters. It's going to give you the objective. It's going to help you reach the goal. And later on, you can get fancy and do all the other stuff, the Peloton and all, but you really don't need the Peloton. Okay. You could just get a regular, you get on the treadmill, you get an elliptical and still lose weight. But again, Peloton has a whole different market, but just that's what I'm trying to say. Peloton might be like the short SM7B. And then, the just getting on the good old elliptical is just having a Samsung Q2U microphone or having your Yeti microphone. Okay. So keep it simple. All right. So let me know how you guys feel about that. Okay, so the next thing, number 2. All right, so this leads into, we're talking about quality. Audio is your best friend. But Ozeal, didn't you just say quantity over quality? So can I just talk into my microphone? You can. You absolutely can. No judgment here. However, I will say this, y'all. Some tough love, just some tough love. You ready? I'm going to hug you. I promise you, I'm going to hug you. Tough love. If you're a podcaster, even a YouTuber, but specifically for podcasters, this is an audio only platform. Audio only. So it's imperative, crucial, vital to have a microphone when you're starting a podcast. But can I just talk it? You can. You could do that. But there's no excuse these days, my friend, when microphones, good quality microphones, cost anywhere from $20. Like, I'm not sure how much is the Yeti, by the way. Does anybody know the price of the Yeti microphone? Let me know. But they're not expensive. I think they even sell them at Best Buy. I even saw podcast microphones, true story, being sold at Five Below. You guys know that store, Five Below? I know they have them down here in Houston. And they sell even podcast microphones there. Super cheap, $10, I think it was, or $5. So whatever it was. So there's no excuse not to have some kind of microphone hooked up to your device, whether it's your phone or your laptop or desktop. Yeti, a Samsung Q2U's, which I recommend. Audio Technica 2100X is a USB microphone. It's $100. All those mics sound fantastic. Okay, so there's no excuse. So yeah, audio does matter. Audio definitely does matter. So Enrique Castro, what's up, man? Tanco Financiero, what's up, bro? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. And you're crushing it, brother. You're crushing it with your podcast. I'm so proud of you, my man. So proud of you. So the audio is, again, very important. So make sure that whatever you do, invest in audio. And Enrique was there at my workshop where it was pre-COVID. And I talked about the importance of having good audio quality. So if you're starting a podcast, new podcaster, make sure at minimum, just have a decent microphone before you get started. So that is tip number 2. Okay. Number 3 is, I'm going to give you some tough love, my friends, is audience. Think of your audience. Okay. This is, we talked about the technical quality, right? In having a microphone, but this is the emotional quality. The emotional quality that you're thinking about your audience, that you are really thinking about understanding what is popular in entertainment or education in your industry and something that may be very valuable to them. And then finding your unique and simple way of delivering that message or that piece of education. Like, I love what Enrique is doing, which is education for the Latino community on the state of economics and finances and investments and niche. He has an industry, and he's doing a fantastic job of blending both in. Not to mention that I feel like he's really filling in a gap that's needed where it's not oversaturated. So that's the reason why have mad love for Enrique and his podcast and what he's doing. But going back to your audience, I think what's happening is when I see podcasters get into the game, especially new podcasters, they have this idea. They'll call themselves, the Sarah Jones podcast or whatever. They'll name the podcast by their name, which is a big no-no, because Oprah Winfrey could pull that off. But when you're establishing yourself as a personal brand behind the microphone, I would advise not to brand your podcast your name, by the way. Okay, there's some little information there. So it's important for you to keep that in mind and know that it has to be about your audience. You got to provide your audience valuable entertainment or content. If you don't do that, it's going to be really hard to grow your audience. And then you find those same new podcasters in different Facebook groups asking the question, which I know you probably see all the time: how can you promote your podcast, or how can you grow your podcast? And I get it, but I think what happens is that everybody skips this part. Everybody talks about, I share a lot about my 3-step framework, right? Brand, BAM, brand, having a solid brand, and then having an audience that you're going to tailor to. But if you're not talking content that's related to your audience, I'm sorry, my friend, some tough love here. You are not going to grow your podcast, no matter how many ads you put out, no matter how much you spam Facebook groups, no matter how you tell your friends and post it on Facebook and on Instagram. You're not going to grow your podcast. You're not. Why? Because the content is very egocentric. It's very selfish. It's all about what you think you want your audience to learn about or to discover, rather than creating content that's really valuable to them. Okay, let me know in the chat if you agree with that. How much time do you take to invest in learning what your audience wants to learn about or what they want to discover? Okay, so it's important. Know your audience. Okay, number 4 rather, is message over metrics. Message over metrics. What am I talking about here? Is new podcasters early on obsess over the download numbers. How many of you were obsessive, checking your download numbers every single time you publish a new podcast episode? Be honest. Be honest. It happens. I did it. I still sometimes do it every now and then, but I still, now I'm better at it. But before, when I started, I used to obsess over the numbers. Obsess. So I want you to, number one, just stop obsessing over the numbers, especially early on. New podcasters, right? New podcasters. Stop obsessing over the numbers. Stop thinking that 20 and 30 downloads per episode doesn't matter. Stop thinking that that's a failure. Stop thinking that nobody is listening, because newsflash is 20 to 30 people that are listening to your podcast. Be grateful. Be grateful there are people listening to your podcasts. Some of you who are in business, right, as a business owner, it is said, and this is very standard, that it takes 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years for a business to become profitable. The same principle applies to podcasting. Think about it. Okay, you got to put in the reps. Okay, a lot of businesses have a lot of expenses early on. They're at a loss. It takes a minute for us to be profitable. Okay, and it's same applies to podcasters. It's going to take a while for your podcast to really catch wings and take it to the next level. Unless you're like a marketing savvy genius and you really have this niche that really takes off. There are, a few exceptions, but for the most part, the majority of indie podcasters, it's going to take you a minute. It's going to take, once again, the practice. It's going to put in the reps. It's going to be you tweaking, experimenting, getting creative with the market. It's going to take you a while for you to grow that podcast. So it's important for you to keep that in mind, especially early on, because if you obsess over the numbers, it's a losing game. And I've actually gotten some pushback on this. I've gotten some pushback by people who say, well, no, Ozeal, but if the numbers aren't there, if the download numbers are there, is it worth it? Is it worth podcasting? Should we just, quit? Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe if you're starting a podcast and you're 6 months into it, or within a year, or maybe a year and a half, and you're not seeing growth, then I always say you look at your branding or you look at your marketing. This is when you hire a professional who can help you assess where are the holes, what do you need to tweak. But for the most part, I tell the creator or the podcaster, just stick in the trenches, just continue putting out podcast episodes. If you enjoy providing value for your content, enjoy podcasting, continue practicing, continue putting the reps. Because 6 months to a year is not enough for anybody to assess and be like, this is a failure. Okay. Now, I know a lot of like business podcasts are very big. I have clients who are like, we want to see the numbers and we have a pretty big brand. Why are we seeing the KPIs here? And I always remind business owners, especially those are the ones that really have a lot of, they give me a lot of like, tug of war backlash because they feel like they need to grow an audience just like that because they have a brand that's well known. And that's just not the case because a lot of brands don't translate into podcasts. That podcasting is a long game. It takes you time to cultivate an audience. It takes time to know the message and to understand what the audio audience really wants from the podcast host. So again, podcasting is a long game. And if you don't enjoy it and if you don't understand that it's your message that really matters, and if you really enjoy the thing that you are trying to share with the world, then if it's not there, you're not, it's a failure then. It's not going to work. So let me know in the chat room. Let me know if this is resonating with you. I'm just kind of flowing. I'm going to take a little water break. Let me know. I should put like a little water break video here. But let me know how you guys are feeling. Is this resonating with you? Let me know if you experienced this regarding like just your message, or do you get obsessed with the numbers? Have there been times where you look at your download numbers and want to quit? Let me know your mindset regarding that. I feel like I'm always like super thirsty when I'm doing these live streams. I don't know what it is, but maybe because I'm talking a lot. But I'm just like, man, I really need a lot of water. It happens. It happens. Okay, cool. All right. I need to drink a lot of water. Okay, so that is number 4, I believe. The next one this is a big one. And let me know in the chat room just if you can relate to this. Comparison. Okay, the imposter syndrome. There's a great quote that comparison is the thief of joy. And I wholeheartedly believe in that because so many times we look at other colleagues and other fellow podcasters in our industry, and we compare ourselves and we see their growth, and we're like, how come we're not doing it? And that also, discourages people. It gets people, disconnected from the content. Excuse me. And it just doesn't feel good, right? But what I've discovered is that you can get caught up in the comparison. Everybody has a different voice. Everybody has a different take. And I think it's important for you to keep in mind that you are you and nobody's going to do it the way you do it. And there's no need for you to compare yourself to anybody out there because people are wanting to know what you have to say, about the industry, about the topic. So comparing yourself again is a losing game. And I know that a lot of creators struggle with the comparison. And I always remind them, like, look, this is your podcast. This is your show. And this is when you have to own your show and really own what you represent in this space and own it and dominate it and take great pride in what you do. So that is super important as well to keep in mind. So don't compare yourself, new podcasters, early on. Know that this is who you are. This is your voice. Nobody has your cadence, your vibe, your energy. And it's important for you to be reminded of that every single time you step behind the mic. The next one is don't ignore the feedback. Don't ignore the feedback. There are a lot of times where podcasters don't want to hear constructive feedback. And I'm here to let you know that I think it's important for any endeavor to get coaching, to get some sort of, whether it's an online course or whether it's a YouTube channel that you are learning tips from. Podcast Influence, by the way, it's a good one. Highly recommend it. But it's important for you to understand that you have to get good coaching and have to get good feedback, constructive feedback from the right professional, right? Not just from like somebody who just started a podcast yesterday or last year. Like get good constructive feedback. That way you know where the holes are at. Now that way you can improve. And I think having a growth mindset, and I've talked about this before, is important for any creative to level up, because oftentimes we get stuck in this creative hamster wheel and we're putting the content out there, but we're not thinking about whether or not we're improving. And without constructive feedback, again, we can't improve, and then we can't develop good taste in reaching the next level, meaning that you kind of like have blinders on and you don't think about like, okay, I should maybe invest in a better quality microphone, or maybe I should consider having better, post production, maybe better editing. Maybe I should consider having a co-host. Maybe I should consider getting right to the point and being concise with my content. Start thinking about how you can improve in your content and how can you improve as a podcast host. Another thing that I see with a lot of new podcasters, especially for my podcasters that have interview-based shows, they don't understand the art of communication and conducting a good interview. And that's a skill set. And I understand that a lot of new podcasters getting into the space may not know all these skill sets. We're learning as we go, we're learning as we grow, but be mindful of it. Be open to constructive feedback, be open to learning, and know that there is an art form to everything that we do. And if you keep an open mindset and know, I got to get better at interviewing. I'm interrupting way too much, or I'm blabbing on too much, or I got to get more concise with these questions. Like really understand and hire a professional to help you become a better podcast host. I've noticed that the ones that are really successful, especially in the Podcast Influence Academy, these individuals are the ones that are always investing in themselves, and they're learning and learning, and they're like, there's always room to become a better podcast host and to make this podcast a lot tighter, a lot brighter, a lot more entertaining and valuable to my audience. So again, that's what I got to say about that. Okay, hold on, we got something here. Boom. My friend, my Facebook user said around 100 some models. I think you're referring to the Yeti, right? The Yeti microphone is about $100. Is it that expensive? I thought a Yeti was like $50. Man, they gone up in price. Inflation? What's happening here? Yeti? Blue Yetis are $100. Can you verify that for me? I need to check that out. Jeez. I think I remember they used to be like $60. Man. What's going on, Yeti? Expensive. All right. Okay, so let's keep it flowing. Let's keep it going. So we talked about constructive feedback. Again, feel free to chime in. Let me know how you're feeling. If this is this landing with you, like if this is landing with you, let me know in the chat room. Let me know also like if there's one that is really sticking out that resonates with you in your podcast journey. My boy Jesse in the house. Jesse. Let's see. Jesse's always dropping some knowledge, boy. A branding guy. Even if you sound bad when you start, doesn't mean you'll sound bad forever. Got to get the reps in. Jesse, you know what's the deal. Jesse was actually one of my early coaching clients, and he is one that has a growth mindset, invests in himself. He's part of the Podcast Influence Academy. He takes other courses. He's involved. He does Clubhouse. He's reading books. And again, that's the reason why, Jesse can drop gems like that, because it's true. If you start, let me go ahead and drop that again, Jesse, because that was a really great comment, my man. Great seeing you, buddy. I was about to message you today too, as well, to check in on you. Even if you sound, even if you sound bad when you start, it doesn't mean that you'll sound bad forever. And it goes back to, keeping that mindset of growth, right? That growth mindset, knowing that even though it may sound bad, but no, okay, this is going to be my next level. This is the next, microphone that I'm going to invest in, so I can really up my audio game. But keeping that mindset rather than being like, I'm going to do 100 episodes with crappy audio quality. That's not the move, And again, there's no excuse, especially when these microphones are super reasonable. And if you can't afford it, then get a side hustle. There's ways to afford a decent audio mic, have good audio quality for that doesn't break the bank. So yeah, no excuses. Thank you, Jesse, for chiming in on that. Super important. The other common mistake, some tough love, is for new podcasters is that, the creative marketing, like you're not really taking time to market your podcast. And what I mean by that is, Here's some tough love right here. New podcasters, got something for you, man. Got something for you. And if you catch this on the replay, you may be doing this, and don't do this. Here you go. I'm not gonna coddle you. I'm not gonna be soft on this one. You ready? Here we go. New podcasters, you watching this, maybe not you, but you, if you're doing this, stop spamming Facebook groups with your podcast. Stop. Like, just stop. We get it a lot in Pod Houston. Okay. We have podcasters, not going to call you out, but we have podcasters that try to market their podcast episode. I kid you not, daily, the same one, the same podcast episodes. And it's every single day. And what's so sad is I see them do it in other Facebook podcast groups. And I'm like, who's listening? Like, nobody's paying attention. Nobody's even engaging with that. Why? Because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work in this web world these days. Like, you can't just post your podcast episode and think that you're going to grow your audience. And then they'll go back the next day and be like, how do you grow your audience? And like, I see what you're doing, and that's definitely not a way to grow your audience or your podcast numbers, but you keep on doing it. So why are you spamming Facebook groups? That is not how you build an audience, my new fellow podcasters. You don't do it that way. All right. So stop doing it. Somebody dropped a comment. Let me know what's going on here. Yes, has always been 100. Oh, okay, Jesse, we're talking about the Yeti. I didn't know that, man. Maybe because I've never been a big fan of Blue Yeti, not because I know a lot of like podcasters uh, talk bad about the Blue Yeti, mostly because people don't know how to use the Blue Yeti, right? By the way, if you're buying a Blue Yeti, like, make sure you use it correctly. Like, yeah. Anyways, well, that's a whole different topic. But I know a lot of people talk about Blue Yeti, but yes, Blue Yeti is, if that's what you got, you can definitely get good audio quality early on. It's much better than using your phone or just talking into your mic laptop. So yeah, very, very important. So make sure that you invest in a good microphone. Okay, so again, some tough love. And if you're just chiming in, I see people on the YouTube channel. If you're just watching and joining in, please say hello in the chat room. Again, today we're talking about some tough love advice for new podcasters. And this is what I got for a lot of, from personal experiences, from coaching clients. These are some of the common mistakes. And again, I really want to help new podcasters. That's the reason why I take this role of being in this space, as being a coach and helping podcasters, especially indie podcasters, is because there are a lot of things that we are learning as we get into the space that we often skip over and we don't invest in. So if you don't, not mindful, and you don't invest in the right things, you could be wasting your time and money putting out this podcast. So if you're going to invest time, money, and energy into this podcast and passion into it, and especially building a podcast brand, I want you to do it the right way. And there's certain things that I feel that you can be, curating your energy in a more effective way rather than just spamming Facebook groups. Sorry. So that is definitely a big one. And I think that is pretty much it. Those are, I mean, I can go on and on. Honestly, I may just do a blog post of just sharing a lot of the common mistakes. And I'm pretty sure I'll do a part 2, because there are a lot of things that I feel a lot of new podcasters can do to really level up their podcast. But in a nutshell, I'll say this: have realistic, reasonable expectations. Create content that your audience wants. Create content and create a podcast that you enjoy sharing and teaching. Be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. And just put in the work, my friend. Put in the work. Building a podcast brand is building a brand. It's an audio platform. As I shared before, podcasting is growing. It's not going to go anywhere. I will say that this may not be a platform for you. There's a lot of people who jump into the space because they feel like it's the thing to do. And there's even some brands that I've gotten before where I'm like, this is not a podcast brand. It should be a YouTube video. This should be on a YouTube platform, not podcast. So being again, that's why understanding and really knowing the type of content you're going to put out, it's important. And then you can figure out, can I create conversations about this? Can I create, educational content about this? Can I teach people? Can I, share tips, strategies? And I believe that audio has, uh, it plays an important role in cultivating leadership in any industry. I truly believe that because I've seen it in the most bizarre industries. But assessing your strengths and your weaknesses, and knowing that if you are not really comfortable behind the microphone, it's okay. It's going to take some time. But if you don't like to commit to a weekly schedule or commit to the message for the long term, or maybe you decide that, hey, I have like 50 episodes and that's it, then maybe we need to reassess the brand and figure out a different way of approaching this podcast. So, again, there are a lot of many variables in launching a podcast, which is the reason why what I do as a podcast coach plays a major role. And I believe it's highly valuable for new podcasters because I see a lot of new podcasters get into the space. And frankly, they're just doing it because everybody else is doing it, or because their ego is saying, hey, let's go ahead and call this a Sarah Jones podcast and people will listen to me. And then you can tell your mom and friends and everybody else that you have a podcast. And it's a lot of very ego driven. So I see a lot of that as well. But I think I see some message makers, some people that are really true leaders in their industry, whether it's in the gaming industry and Twitch, or whether it's in helping the kids out, the youth, or whether it's trying to empower other entrepreneurs or creatives, or the fishing industry. I mean, I've seen all of it: mortgage, real estate, whatever it is. If you are truly committed to your message, you will get rid of like this obsession with the metrics, and you will think about your audience, and you will be open to constructive feedback. You will be focusing on creative marketing and finding new ways to reach your audience. Okay. So I feel like I went on a little bit of a rant there. So I apologize. I see some comments. Let me know before we close out. We're doing pretty good on time. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, what's going on? All the way from Africa. No sugarcoating. What's going on, my friends? Now it's global, y'all. This is international. I got my friend here who is all the way from Africa. No sugarcoating. I try to keep it real. You know that. I try to keep it real. And sometimes people don't agree with me all the time, but this is the space that I love. And because I've been in the online marketing space and understanding of what it is to build an audience, and I think somebody asked me, what makes you special as a coach? And I believe. Okay, let me know if you can hear me. Okay, there we go. We're back. We're back. I think that's my first tech issue on this Facebook, on this live. Okay, so going right back into it. One of the things that I feel like it special makes my coaching special to what I try to bring to my Pod Houston community and the insiders is my sense of community building and my sense of really understanding that when you create a podcast brand, that's exactly what it is. It's a podcast brand. It's not just a podcast where you talk behind the microphone and then just talk your stuff. Like podcasting to me is leadership. Podcast is community. Like I really believe in that. And I think me bringing the space and bringing in community mindset is what makes me special. And the proof is in the pudding. I've created and I've done a bazillion of live events and virtual events in the past decade. So check my records. I practice what I preach. I love Pod Houston. I love everybody in the Pod Influence community. And I'm here to serve you guys and whatever I can do. So that's why I want you to have a podcast that has true impact for your audience. And again, that's my true mission for that. So hello. Good to see you. Alex, what's going on, man? You late to the party, bro. What's going on, man? You were so supposed to heckle me about 40 minutes ago. What's happening? I know you're working, man. So I appreciate you tuning in, my boy. Alex, all the way from Austin. Invest in yourself. In yourself. That's right, man. You gotta invest in yourself, man. Like that stream deck, right? I gotta get that stream deck pretty soon. Don't be messing around with these all these buttons here. Um, yes, invest in yourself. Super important, Alex. And that applies to everything, brother, right? We talked about this numerous times about like the importance of like, you know, uh, investing in a coach or investing in some sort of resource or books and investing in somebody who can really help you in friendship and somebody who can be real with you and help you to get to the next level. I mean, I think having that openness is super important. My boy Jesse is dropping some knowledge here. A podcast is better used to enhance a brand instead of establishing one. Um, Let me see, Jesse. A podcast is better used to enhance a brand instead of establishing one. I think they're both, Jesse. I think they're both, man. I think establishing a podcast, um, obviously, if you have an established brand and you start a podcast, I mean, you can definitely do things. However, I actually worked with a client who was an ex NFL player, and I won't mention his name, but he had a pretty big name. And when he didn't see the numbers within the first year, and there was a lot of pressure to like reach KPIs and metrics. And he thought that the brand, established brand, would translate into the podcast, and not quite. It wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all. He wasn't able to pull it off. He actually ended up pulling the plug from it, and it was sad because he was able to interview some pretty, high end celebrities, and he was doing some cool things. Um, he just didn't have the patience or really the will to really stick it out. So again, podcasting is definitely it's a long game. It's a marathon. But even I will say that I've even seen established brands not get enhanced because of the podcast. So even some established brands, it takes them a while, unless they're like a fresh out the gate type of celebrity, a bachelor type or whatever, one of these big TV shows, and then they'll catch that wind, early on. But it's hard. It's really difficult. So, but I believe that podcasting is definitely a brand builder, and I think if you show up consistently, I think it's a great opportunity for you to really to build brand via audio, especially if you're consistent. Now, I think now what we're seeing now with the new wave of podcasting, we're seeing now where video is being incorporated. And I've talked about this, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more, especially with insiders. I have a couple articles on like some data and some information that YouTube is releasing on video podcasts. And again, we talked about how invested they're going to be in our podcasting world. And I think that's some great news for us podcasters because we know that there's billions on YouTube, and YouTube has a lot of money, and they're really good for the most part of helping creators on that platform get monetized, right? And I think that once they really start establishing this platform for podcasters, I think that if you have a great brand, if you're consistent and have a great message, and we're seeing it now, right, on the big level, like the Jake Pauls and the Joe Buttons and the big celebrities that are using, Joe Rogan's, they've been doing it video and, video podcasting. But I think this is going to be a great opportunity, for us to really establish and enhance even a bigger brand by using YouTube and audio only content. So I think I'm really excited really about the future of podcasting. And I think this is the new radio, right? I mean, this is the new personality. This is the new leadership. So anything you can do to make a positive impact on your audience through podcasting, I think it's going to be a big, big win. So yeah, man, but that's some good stuff, Jesse, that you mentioned. Um, we good, brother? What's going on, brother? I'm glad that we're good. I'm glad. Let me know. And I'm glad. Thank you for sticking around, heck, hanging out with me, man. I appreciate it. Um, I love truth and constructive criticism. I know you do. We jumped on a call, a couple weeks ago, and we talked about, how we can help you. And I think it's important. It's super, super important to be able to be open to constructive criticism. So thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it. Hello, Google him. Who's that? What do you mean? Google who? Google who? What are you talking about? Um, I think that's pretty much. Hey, listen, this was awesome. How you guys feeling? What do you guys think of this? And let me know. Like, I'm always open to, speaking of being open, open for feedback. I'm open to like topics. So if there are any topics, especially for our insiders and in the Pod Houston group, DM me. Let me know if there's any topics that you would like me to tackle and talk about. I'm always open. We can do a Q&A. We can just kind of, we can vibe, go live and vibe, and do our thing. Hold on one second. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, not that this. Not to say it's impossible, but it's tougher road. Yeah, I agree, Jesse. It is tougher, no doubt about it. Especially these days where podcasting has gotten so competitive. It's definitely a marathon, that's for sure. So if you're interested, I'm going to go ahead and do some shameless plugs. Podcast Influence Academy. If you are interested in joining an awesome mastermind, check out podinfluence.com. Join this mastermind. Jesse's involved in that community. We have some others that are involved as well. So please join us there. It's a lot of great education. We meet twice a month. You have an hour coaching session with me, and let's vibe. So podinfluence.com, go check it out. And also, last but not least, my friends, this is a big one. So tomorrow, and hopefully you guys can make it. Tomorrow we have a big event. Pod Houston is collaborating with Descript. With Descript is a big company and that's really interested and invested in our podcasting space. They are going to be doing a virtual masterclass tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. So please check it out. There's an RSVP. I'll post it in the Pod Houston group in a bit, but I'm really excited about this because the topic is how to streamline your podcast workflow. And as podcasters, we know that we have to wear so many hats with editing, recording, publishing, marketing, transcribing, which has a lot of merit in like SEO and putting transcriptions out there as well for your podcast. There's a lot of things that are happening in the podcasting space, and the tools are getting much, much better. And Descript is one of those companies that's providing a great tool for podcasters, indie podcasters like ourselves, to level up and to make our life a lot easier. So I'm really excited to have Descript lined up and partner up with us for this live masterclass. Hold on, who's that? Okay, for this masterclass. So please go check it out. I'll make sure I'll post it up in the Facebook group. So Pod Houston, Descript, Podcast Influence Academy will all be in the house. So that's going to be tomorrow, Tuesday, April 12th. So have you RSVP'd yet? Are you going to be there? Is the question. Let me know. Are you going to be there? It's going to be fun. I'll be there along with insiders and a bunch of other indie podcasters. So please, please, please check it out. I think it's going to be very valuable. And it's free content, y'all. Like it's free educational content. So take advantage of it. Like, take advantage of it. I think we talked about being open to learn. And I think if podcasters take time to invest, an hour or whenever there's a free masterclass like tomorrow, like take time to get invested, get in these master classes, RSVP. There's a ton of great quality educational content out there, but just make time for it. Make time for it. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. I think we're good, y'all. Woo! I think we did it. An hour. I felt like I was gonna go quicker, but we did it. Great audience. How do you guys feeling? You guys feeling okay? Feeling good? Feeling great? What do you have planned for today? Let me know. I need to hit the gym, and there's a lot of things that I'm playing catch up on today. So I have a lot of things happening. So I got to get on the ball. That's for sure. But shout out to, once again, Africa. Shout out to everybody in Houston. Somebody actually from Argentina. That was pretty awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for just supporting this live stream every Monday. So every Monday I will be going live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And it will be a topic every single time. Of course, this live stream will be replayed. There'll be a replay in the Pod Houston group. So join the Pod Houston group on Facebook, and also subscribe and follow Podcast Influence on YouTube, which is my YouTube channel, which I plan on doing a lot more content. And I'm going to be putting out content that's not necessarily related to podcasting. I'm still going to be doing this, right? But I'm going to be putting other content that's going to be more developed, more tailored for personal growth, mindset, and helping other creators and business leaders and individuals who are awesome, just like you. So thank you so much. Let's see what's going on, man. Hello, Oz. What is going on? I don't know your name, Facebook user, but hello, Oz. You must go way back. You must know me. Facebook user. Who's this? Let me know in the chat. Reggie, what's going on, Reggie? Reggie, shout out to Reggie. What's up, Ozeal? Just been listening. Got great info as always, man. Look forward to tomorrow. Thank you, brother. Thank you. That's another Reggie's, another fellow insider, growth times infinity podcast, motivational speaker, and just like an all-around awesome guy, supporter, leader. And so go check it out if you need a dose of motivation. Growth times infinity. podcast is a podcast for you to check out. So thank you, Reggie, for showing the love and for being a part of this community. And thank you, my friend. I feel amazing. I'm glad I tapped in. Thank you, and I'm glad that you joined Pod Houston. And I see you, the self-made podcast series. I see that you're doing self-made podcast. She's a fellow entrepreneur. So please make sure that you post and share your podcast as well in the Pod Houston group because we want to support you. All right. So hopefully we get to connect soon. And thank you. I'm not sure what time is it over there in Africa. I'm sure it's pretty late, right? Maybe what is it morning time over there or nighttime? But whatever time it is, thank you for just making time for tuning in, and I appreciate it. I think that's pretty much it. I wish you guys an awesome day, evening, night, morning. Um, I'm going to go ahead and get to work. We got to get ready for tomorrow's event. And I got a few other things that are happening that are in the cooker for today. So I got a jam-packed day. So thank you so much for tuning in to Live and Vibe with Ozeal. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Oh yeah, Tico. What's up, Tico? Real quick before I let you go. Tico, my brother. What's going on, my brother for life? Good seeing you, Tico. Miss you, brother. Great seeing you a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so next Tuesday, and then again, or next Monday rather, and then tomorrow, join us at the masterclass for sure. So thank you guys. Hopefully, again, this was valuable. Hopefully, there was a little bit of entertain. Hopefully, the love wasn't too tough. But again, it's all about helping you grow your brand influence with podcasting. So check it out in the replay, #replay. If you catch it, let me know if you have any comments, any feedback. Let me know in the chat. And thanks again, as always, for supporting the movement. And I will see you next time. Peace, one love, and keep creating a ruckus. Cheers.